What should you be expecting after you survive trauma part 2? Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Haddons, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there is no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then that means it's not aligned, which means it is not for you, so don't force it. So grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For the month of May, we have been going over and discussing what it's like to move on after you realize that nothing in life is going to last forever. But for today's video specifically, this is part 2. Make sure you check out part 1. It will be in the description of what you should be expecting after you survive a significant amount of trauma, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So starting off the introduction, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Starting off the first disclaimer. Once you survive trauma, you can no longer go back to what you used to do, how you used to think, and who you used to be. And any people or any place or any opportunities and experiences that are not compatible or in alignment with your future and what it is that you want to do. You have to realize that once you go through all these devastating and life and death situations and you figured out why you had to go through those things, you need to leave it where it is. You holding on to old baggage, old mindsets, old behaviors, old patterns, old mindsets, old people and places and things is the only reason why you feel stuck and stagnant and delayed, and you will not be able to appreciate what you had to go through for you to become the person that you need to be. So the second disclaimer is knowing that you went through those traumatic situations for a reason. And in this video, we're going to talk about why. You need to know that you did not struggle, you did not suffer, and most importantly, your gods and the ancestors in the universe, for those of you who believe, take what resonates, leave the rest, are not going to bring you through certain situations without you having a perspective or a certain level of why and understanding. If you are not capable to go through certain things, you wouldn't make it, because in life, if you're not living, you're going to die. And that's the third disclaimer. You're not going to live forever. You're not going to live forever. It's not always going to be bad storms. It's not always going to be hardship and struggling. The only way it will continue to be hardships and struggling and bad days is if you don't realize what you're supposed to be learning as you're going through those seasons and chapters, because you're gonna have seasons and chapters where sometimes things are working out good, some things may be working out bad. Don't overextend your stay. So the fourth disclaimer is knowing that you're gonna have to become very adaptable in life, because yes, you may have survived some of the worst days in your life and it may have been extremely painful and uncomfortable, but life is still gonna life. Like, you're still gonna have moments, let's just say, where your tire blows out, you get a nail. You're still gonna have to be able to replace your tires. You may have days where you're stuck in traffic. You're still gonna have to get to and from your destination. You may plan to go on a vacation on a hot summer day and then it starts to rain or yet a hurricane or tornado. You still have to be able to live your life despite of all the distractions or things that are out of your control. So lastly, when it comes to you realizing that you survived trauma, is to allow yourself to process what it once was. And that's going to be part of the first recommendations. Yes, when you go through trauma, a lot of times you're going to experience PTSD and CPSD and all these labels and attachments. The goal is to not be so content on the labels and attachments that you diagnose yourself, or you allow the diagnoses to be permanent in the diseases. Because if we're going to go there, it doesn't have to be. Just because you've had PTSD from certain situations doesn't mean that your mind and your brain can't change, because it can. But the only way it's going to change is realizing that you did go through certain things. And in order for you to realize that is to separate yourself. You have to separate yourself from the people and the places and things and the mindsets that try to hurt and harm you. And that's going to be the second recommendation. Once you realize what you went through and you have processed certain things and you've invested into a therapist and you invest into a psychiatrist, or you're watching these videos, you need to be able to really isolate yourself and question what happened. Question what happened to you, question what people did, question what people said. You need to be able to observe what has happened, and you need to note it. You need to start paying more attention. The only reason why we go through trials and tribulations is because either A, we're not paying attention, or B, that is what you need to do in order for you to change. You would not have been touched on appropriately. You wouldn't have grew up in poverty. You wouldn't have dealt with abuse mentally, emotionally, psychologically, if it wasn't something that you needed to learn about yourself or the world or people and places and things. The third recommendation is you cannot continue to blame yourself or the people and the places and things for what they did, because it happened, and I'm speaking from experience. This does not mean that our feelings were not valid. This doesn't mean that I've never felt mortified by certain people, places, and things, but it was just like, instead of me saying, you know what, this person did this or these people did this or whatever it was, I just had to realize I cannot be upset once people show me that they are scussies, or that they're demeaning, or that they're degrading, or that they're disrespectful, or they lack morality. Like, I can't be upset if I am a positive, loving, beautiful person inside and out, and people want to be ugly and nasty and narcissistic. You can't be upset that you're confident and secure in yourself and people are envious of you. You can't be upset if you want to be wealthy and financially literate and have nice things and people don't. Like, you have to see things for what they are and just accept them. If you want to deal with them, you can deal with them. If you don't, you keep your distance. Like, we have to hold ourselves accountable. That's also going to help you realize that, yes, you went through certain things in your life. It doesn't have to be like that forever. Like, what has really helped me to survive all the trauma was just to hold myself accountable. And that's the fourth recommendation. You don't have to continue to beat yourself up once you realize what you went through, because a lot of times when people take advantage of you, or when people manipulate you, or when people are predators, or when people try to go out their way to hurt and harm you, you don't know any better. Like, you didn't have the finances, you didn't have the resources, you didn't have the tools, you didn't know what you had to learn now. A lot of times it's not until after you experience certain things that you have the capacity and the mental understanding to realize how it affected you and why you had to go through it in your life. If you knew better, don't you think you would be doing better? Like, a lot of times it takes you going through certain things and separating yourself to realize this is why this had to happen. If you knew certain people didn't have your best interest, it's not until you're no longer around people you realize that those were their intentions, this was their motives, and that's who they are. You don't have to sit here and beat yourself up about what has happened, because it already happened and you cannot change it. Whatever was said or did, they meant it. So all you can do is realize what you have control over, how you want to react and respond moving forward, and how you choose to handle certain situations. It's no reason to be angry. It's no reason to be bitter. It's no reason to be upset. It's no reason, honestly, to even focus or care. Those people will never be important. They don't do anything for you. They never was. Okay? They're not bigger than the program. You're bigger than the program. You have to realize that not everybody and not everything is for you, and that's fine. And once you're able to realize that, you're not going to continue to give your energy into things and situations that you can let go of. And once you learn to let it go, you will continue to live your life and do the things that you need to do. Worrying about how certain things affected you doesn't mean that you didn't feel the way you did, but what is the point of you holding on or being angry and being bitter, especially when you know, like I said, you're just doing everything that you can. If you know you're not a nasty, evil, ugly, manipulative person, then you have nothing to worry about. It's always people and places and things who are ugly inside and out, who have the most to say, and who always want to do the most. Nobody has time for that. There's no reason for you to continue to be angry, or to be frustrated, or to be mad, or even to feel like you're far behind in life. Like, once again, if you grew up in poverty, you didn't know any better. That's not your responsibility. Like, you don't have to sit here and be so upset and be so disappointed in yourself for not knowing certain things that you had to learn over time. So I say all that to say it's no reason to continue to be bitter or to be angry about something that once was. Like, learn to talk about how you feel. Like, go through the emotions. Like, figure out ways and come up with solutions. So therefore, you don't have to be bitter, or that you don't have to be overwhelmed, and that you don't have to be frustrated, because yes, the things happen to you. Yes, your feelings are valid. Yes, it's unfortunate that you had to witness certain things, or that you had experienced certain things. But I'm telling you from experience, once you make it to the other side, you will realize that everything that you went through was to help you become the person that you needed to be, and that it wasn't permanent. So growing up poor, growing up in poverty, all the times that you have learned to be appreciative. You have learned to become resilient. You have learned to continue to survive. You've learned to become stronger and wiser. All the times you dealt with manipulation and people gaslighting you and narcissists, it made you learn how to communicate. It made you learn how to, have better discernment. It made you wiser. It made you sharper. So therefore, you realize once somebody like says something or does something, like, you can clock it and peep it. Like, that's what people fail to realize. Like, once you realize that, certain environments were draining your energy, you don't have to continue to surround yourself in those environments. Like, if it's not helping you, if it's not pouring into you, it's not necessary nor important. So whatever questions, comments, and concerns that you have, let me know. Let me know how this video affected you and resonated with you, what you've been going through, how you've been dealing with surviving trauma, and most importantly, continue to seek a therapist and psychiatrist. If not, book your service in your session, so therefore we can release what no longer serves us and continue to live our best lives. But make sure you guys are following me on all my social media platforms. All the information is down in the description box below, okay? So I love you, you're loved, and you're not alone. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace.